Today on Cityline, take a look at these old photographs. A New England business aims to make sports history hip by spreading the word and the images of America's Black Fives. Welcome back. A new vintage sports business is devoted to researching, preserving, and teaching the history of African-American basketball teams, which played from the early 1900s through 1950, a period known as the Black Fives era. Black Fives is catching on with everyone from Converse and Nike to Shaquille O'Neal and Sean P. Diddy Combs. Claude Johnson is the founder of BlackFives.com. He's former director of international business operations for the NBA and a former vice president at Russell Simmons' Fat Farm brand. He is now based in Connecticut. Claude, welcome to Cityline. Thanks for coming down to join us today.
My honor. Thank you very much.
Now, many of us know a lot about the Negro baseball leagues. In fact, we just did a little bit of talking about Jackie Robinson in the first segment. Why don't we know as much about the black basketball leagues?
Well, it's a history that was largely overlooked for years, and mostly because the NBA, which formed in the late 1940s, really had such a massive PR appeal, and the Globetrotters that came after them. There was really no intentional reason why this history was lost, but I'm glad that you know, it's rediscovered. Harlem Globetrotters, kind of the remnant of that Black Fives era. Yeah, well, the Globetrotters exist today, and they were one of the best teams, but you know, there were a couple of teams that were better. One of them was the Harlem Wrens, the New York Renaissance team that played out of Harlem, and they won two of what they call the World Professional Basketball Championships in the late 1930s and early 1940s.
Now, just an interesting historical note, again making reference to this first segment. I know you just returned from the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, but you were telling me that there's a connection between Black Fives and Jackie Robinson.
That's right. I actually took my boys to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum for April 15th because that was the anniversary, and I happened to be in Kansas City. And Jackie Robinson was, as we all know, an exceptional athlete, but he was an exceptional basketball player. And he actually played for a team called the Los Angeles Red Devils. And this was prior to his debut in the major leagues. And he played against great teams. One of them was this New York Rens team that I was talking about. It's actually the first time that a major team from the East flew by plane out west to play an all-black team. Who knew? That's right.
Tell us a little bit more about the history of the teams during this Black Fives era.
Well, there were dozens and dozens of teams, and you know, life and society and the game was segregated. These teams flourished and created their own world, and they kept rising and rising to bigger and bigger stages. And they started playing around 1904 when a guy named Edwin Henderson, who we sort of know as the father of black basketball, first introduced basketball to blacks on a wide-scale basis in Washington, D.C. He's a potential candidate for the Basketball Hall of Fame because of that contribution. But it went further, and in New York and in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Washington, teams flourished. And there are great stories that came out of that.
We're seeing some of the teams right now. Which one is this one that we see?
This is the Monticello Athletic Association out of Pittsburgh. And what's interesting about them is that they came out of nowhere, and the reason they came out of nowhere is that they had a strategic player on their team, a guy named Jim Dorsey, who was a janitor at a local gym called the Phipps Gymnasium that was a segregated gym. But he let in his friends on Sunday mornings, and they practiced basketball unbeknownst to anybody, and then when the time came, they sprang their skill and actually captured the Black National Championship. So I elevate Jim Dorsey holding up that janitor's key as one of the greatest moments in basketball.
Now, we said that Sean Combs and Shaquille O'Neal, Converse and Nike have taken interest in your historical exploration. What are they doing to help you preserve this history?
Well, thanks. Yeah, you know, when I first learned about this, I was working at NBA Properties, and I took an interest. I found out about this history from a book that was written by Arthur Ashe. And he mentioned some of the team names, and it made me do research on my own at the Schomburg Library and at the Basketball Hall of Fame and other places, and I realized
Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture,
exactly
in New York City,
Harlem, part of the New York Public Library System, and also, you know, other places. And I found out that nobody really knew anything about this. So I went to the microfilm, and I read the sports pages back from 1904 all the way through. But because of my licensing background, I actually was able to go ahead and trademark the names and logos and create a collection in a sports property that I call Black Fives. Fives for the starting 5 players on a team.
And Nike and Converse are helping you do this. And you have one of the jackets on right now, the Harlem Wrens.
Yes.
The big R. Very
yes.
nice. So it's a warm-up suit.
That's right.
This is a piece of Nike activewear.
That's right. This is a piece of Nike licensed product. They made some sneakers and accessories and apparel, and Converse is going to do a big role in that for 2008, because Converse actually outfitted the Wrens with rubber-soled shoes that were then state-of-the-art in the 1920s.
Wow.
So they were actually a pioneer, and they were part of the game and part of black basketball back as early as the 1920s. So they're going to do a major piece on that in 2008, because that's their 100th anniversary, and we're delighted to be with them. But also, it gives me a chance to expand upon just what some might consider commercializing, but actually to get into helping teach and train and inspire kids towards academic achievement and personal growth, which is what my role is.
So Converse was the original celebrity shoemaker.
Yeah, they actually were. That's right.
Now you have some other interesting things coming up with the Black Fives project. Why don't you just list those very quickly?
Well, I have a film documentary that's in work with Sam Pollard, a brilliant guy who got his first work actually here in Boston, and also a feature film that we're doing with another producer I can't name right now.
Sam Pollard, by the way, worked on Eyes on the Prize.
Yes, that's right, exactly. And then we have a foundation that's going on right now that I'm setting up that helps kids, and also we're resurrecting this Harlem Wrens team. We're going to tour and do clinics and workshops.
Great. Yeah, that's great.
So really excited about it.
Claude, congratulations, and I can tell you have a passion for this work.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now for more information, see their website. It's a great website. And for more information about the history of the Black Fives era, see blackfives.com.